Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Zane. Today we'll be having a look at Volta stocks. We'll be having a look at the price, going for a price analysis and price prediction. We'll also go through some of the latest updates revolving around Volta. Now before we continue, allow me to declare that this video is not financial advice, it's strictly for educational purposes. Now shares of Volta Inc, it all plunged to an all-time low after the electric vehicle charging company announced that the abrupt departure of two of its top executives, both of them are founders of the firm. Now the resignation of CEO Scott Mercer and President Chris Wendell came a week after the San Francisco-based firm postponed reporting its latest quarterly earning, although it was unclear if there were any connections between the events. Now Mercer will continue in the CEO role for a transition period as the company's board searches for a replacement. But this is where it gets interesting. Volta fell as much as 20% on March the 28th in the United States trading. Its biggest drop in nearly 6 months. The company deploys charging station equipped with large video display for advertisement in-store parking lots. Volta went public 7 months ago through a SPAC merger with Special Acquisition Company. Now with Volta listing as a public company last August, the board and founders mutually agreed that now is the right time to identify new leadership with experience in managing public companies to serve the best interests of shareholders and to unlock the company's full value potential. Newly appointed co-chair Vince Kubej said in Volta's March 28th statement announcing the leadership changes. Volta said committed to keeping the CEO and board chairs roles separate going forward and also name Kathy Savi as co-chair of the board. So that, ladies and gents, is the biggest news update for Volta. Now it's quite interesting because previously to this announcement, the price per share was just around $4.13. But since the news announced, it has fallen as low as $3 flat, $3.05 actually. Now this currently puts a market cap at $538 million with a price of $3.33 with a price of $3.33. Now the interesting part is that last month, the EV market, the EV charger market was doing rather well, and this was in November, precisely around the middle of November, around the 10th to the 20th of November, the market was doing exceptionally well. Volta itself was as high as $12.71. Now it's been a bit higher. September the 13th it was $13.04. But in October, since falling to $6.95, it rose back up to $12.71. Quite optimistic. So I'm still optimistic. Honestly, this share is heavily undervalued. And I do think that investors are taking the departure of the CEO and founders a bit too harsh. Here's the thing about Volta and many charging companies. It's actually not very difficult to run a charging company. The main point of running a charging company is expansion. Really and truly, it's all about expansion and making sure that you have an understanding of where the EV charging market will be in the next 10 to 20 years, and it's going to be huge. As long as you have a vast vision and you can expand this business, get investments and expand this business, I see no reason why this business wouldn't do great. It's a very straightforward and easy business to run. Charging stations are in high demand and they will remain that way for many years to come. That's why we're seeing so many EV charging companies get involved with this space because it's so promising. We're going to need a vast amount of EV charging companies, and these charging companies will have to be exceedingly fast at what they can do, at charging vehicles as fast as possible. I still think realistically the price of Volta shares should be at least $10. At least $10. It's heavily undervalued, but I'm not complaining too much because that's just a great opportunity for me to buy into this company, especially right now when the share prices are so incredibly low. Now honestly, looking at the share prices, I can only say one thing. It's absolutely delicious to see the prices this low. Now of course, this is where it gets interesting. Now the expected first quarter report of 2022 revenue, that'd be between $8 million to $8.5 million US dollars. Provides full year 2022 revenue outlook of between 70 to 80 million US dollars. Now, an industry leader, EV charging network, power and vehicles, and commerce today announced that preliminary revenues of approximately $12 million for its fourth quarter of 2021. That was up 45% year over year. and revenues of 32 million for the full year end of December 31st, 2021. That was up 66% year over year. Now, interestingly, a total stall connected as December 31st, 2021 was 2,330. Now, furthermore, here's where the news keeps on getting better. Why this company will do exceedingly well in the future is not because it's seeing 45% year over year increase on annual income, but it's also the constant expansion. They are expanding. They're expanding into Europe, France, Germany, and more. And this is incredible for investors. I cannot believe how great of an opportunity this is. Now, the company expects first quarter 22 revenues to be between 8 million to 8.5, like I said before. So Volta expects 2022 revenues to be greater in the second half of the year, as a reflection of growing scales of network and the company and seasonal media revenue patterns. For 2022, the company expects total incremental connected stalls to range from 1,700 to 2,000 stalls. So due to additional time required to complete its year-end reporting process and files an annual report on the Form 10-K for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2021, Volta expects to file a notification of late filing on Form 12B-25 upon completion of filing a Form 10-K. The company anticipates holding an investors call. The company also anticipates holding an investors call. So this is fantastic. So this was actually reported on March the 31st. So it's quite recent. I'm making this video on the 5th of April. So this is great news for us investors, because it is such a progressive company. They're doing great things. Despite the change in leadership, I do believe that an idiot could run Volta and they could run it successfully. I like to invest in companies that idiots could run, because one day an idiot might run that company, and it's not up to us as investors to choose who run the company. It's absolutely out of our control. So you must invest in companies that are easy to run. It just makes complete sense. But once again, not financial advice, but it's just my personal opinion. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more, leave a like, leave a comment, and of course I will see you in my next video.